This video is brought to you by Squarespace. U.S. Paratrooper, World War II, the Western Front. America was late to develop airborne infantry, but once it did, development was rapid. The first U.S. airborne unit was tested in 1940. In 1942, the 82nd Infantry became the first airborne division, followed by the Screaming Eagles 101st Airborne, the 11th, 13th, and 17th. Paratroopers were volunteers who were motivated by the chance of becoming an elite unit and receiving extra pay. If they made it past selection, the recruit would go through a vigorous training process at jump school. Physical training exercise such as forced marches, running, and obstacle courses would test their endurance and make or break the recruit. The next stage would focus on skills-based training. Recruits were taught how to pack a parachute, how to guide a parachute, and how to land properly. They would leap from 250-foot or 76-meter high jump towers to practice parachute jumps. But the main test would come when the recruit would jump out of an aircraft for the first time. Any hesitations would prove if they were airborne material or not. Paratroopers were dressed in special clothing and equipment, which would help them in their dangerous missions. They were encumbered with a lot of equipment to carry, necessary for long drawn-out combat without support behind enemy lines. The uniform consisted of jump boots, an M1942 jump jacket and trousers, sometimes with knee pads, an M2 helmet, and gloves. Some of the equipment consisted of a parachute, an emergency reserve parachute, life preserver vest, webbing, musette bag and rope, a canteen, an entrenching tool, rations, a compass, a cricket noisemaker, camouflage paint, and an M2 switchblade to cut themselves out of parachutes. Their weapons included an M3 fighting knife attached to the lower leg, the M1 Garand, the M1A1 carbine with a folding stock variation ideal for paratroopers, the M1A1 Thompson submachine gun, the M1918A2 Browning automatic rifle, the M3 grease gun, the M1911A1 Colt pistol, the M9 bazooka, and Mark II grenades. U.S. airborne troops first fought in North Africa, then the invasion of Sicily in 1943. Most would be sent to England in preparation for D-Day in June 1944. In preparation, some of the paratroopers would camouflage their faces and shave their heads into mohawks. The 82nd and 101st would do a nighttime drop into Normandy, France, with the objective of holding areas inland from the invasion beaches. The C-47 aircraft holding the paratroopers would come under heavy flak and fog, and in the chaos, the men would jump out in a wide scattered radius, separating from each other on the ground in pitch-black darkness. To identify themselves from the enemy, the paratroopers used their clickers, followed by a code word. The unlucky ones either lost their equipment, drowned, or became stuck in trees or utility poles while being shot at by the enemy before they could even undo their parachutes. The paratroopers were successfully able to prevent German counterattacks on the D-Day landings, sabotage gun emplacements, and create great confusion behind enemy lines. The 82nd and 101st would then take part in further airborne operations. Next was Operation Market Garden in the Netherlands. As part of the 1st Allied Airborne Army, they fought off continuous German counterattacks. The British had failed to capture Arnhem Bridge, and as a result, the Germans were able to move defenders to the Nijmegen Bridge. The 82nd Airborne Division went on a suicide mission, crossing the Vaal River in unsuitable boats while being fired upon, but successfully captured the north end of the Nijmegen Road Bridge at the cost of very high casualties. The 82nd and 101st would then take part in the Battle of the Bulge from 1944 to 45, fighting off heavily armed German counteroffensives against the odds in the bitter winter. Following this, U.S. paratroopers would participate in the Allied invasion into Germany in 1945. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate Squarespace for supporting the channel and making it possible to create more epic, detailed episodes for our fans. If you want to easily make your own website that looks good, they have some incredible templates to use. There's nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever, and they have award-winning 24/7 customer service. It's also really easy to set up or transfer your own domain name. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/simplehistory to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain.